Okay, so this is the sketch of the dress, and these are the measurements that you're going to require in order for you to make the dress. So be sure to have that before we get started. So we'll first start off by making a slip knot. Next, you want to work chains. So the number of chains you make will depend on your bust size. So what I recommend doing is to measure around your bust. Okay, so once you have your bust measurements, we can go by mine. I measure 80 centimeters. So the first thing I need to do is to divide that 80 by 2 because you're going to be making the dress using 2 panels, the front and the back panel. So I got 40 centimeters. Then again, I'm going to divide that 40 into 2 because the top of the dress is going to be made up of the bra cups. So you want to make the bra cups equal to the length for the front panel. So I divided that into 2, so each bra cup needed to measure 20 centimeters in height. So my foundation chain was 10 centimeters because that would get me to halfway to the bra cup measurement that I required, and then I worked enough rows to get me to the full 20 centimeters for each bra cup. So I made a foundation chain of 25, which gave me roughly around 10 or 11 centimeters. If you're an extra small or small, then you can use the same measurements. If you're bigger, then you can add more chains to your foundation chain as explained in the video. So once you have your foundation chain ready, the next thing we're going to do is start working our stitches. So in the second, we're going to chain one as our turning chain, and then in the second chain from the hook we're going to work a half double crochet. To work a half double crochet, you just yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go into the chain stitch, pull up a loop, pull through all 3. So you're going to work 1 half double crochet into each stitch until you get to the end, to the last stitch where we're going to do something different. Okay, so when you get to the end, which is the last chain, you need to work 3 half double crochets into the same stitch. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So once you worked the 3 into the last chain, you're going to continue working 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way back down. And so as I'm working, I'm also carrying the yarn that I left when I was starting off. So I'm carrying it along. So go ahead and work 1 half double crochet stitch all the way into each stitch all the way until you get to the end. So this is going to count as our first row, and this is what you should have after the first row. So all you did was work 1 half double crochet into each stitch, and then we worked the 3 double crochet into the same stitch and then worked all the way back down. So for row 2, what we need to do is chain 1, which acts as our turning chain, and then we're going to work 1/2 double crochet into each stitch, but this time we're going to work into the front loop. So there's a V stitch in your front and at the top, so you want to work only into that the front part of that V stitch. So only through, not through the whole V stitch, but only through that front loop of the V stitch. Okay, so we can continue working our stitches. And over, go into the front loop only, pull up a loop, pull through all 3. Just work a 1/2 double crochet, but through the front loop only. Go ahead and work that until we get to the point where we made 3 1/2 double crochets into the same stitch, and I'm going to explain what we'll do when we get there. Okay, so now we're at the point where we made 3 1/2 double crochets into the same stitch. So into the first stitch, you're going to work 1 1/2 double crochet into the front loop only. Then into the middle stitch, which is the second 1/2 double crochet of the 3, we're going to work 3 1/2 double crochets into the same stitch, still working in the front loop only. And then the third 1/2 double crochet, we're going to work 1 1/2 double crochet. Then you're going to continue working 1 1/2 double crochet all the way until we get to the end. Okay, so once you get to the end, that marks the end of row 2, and this is what you should have once you're done with row 2. Chain 1, which is our turning chain, and you're going to basically be repeating row 2 all the way until we have the cap size that fits us. So go ahead and work 1 1/2 double crochet into the front loop only, all the way until we get to the point where we made 3 1/2 double crochets into the same stitch. Okay, so once you get to the point where we made 3 1/2 double crochets into the same stitch, you're going to do the same thing and work 1 1/2 double crochet into the first stitch, 3 into the second, and then 1 into the third, and then you're just going to continue working all the way back down. So this is what I had after repeating for 8 rows. You can do more if you'd like it to be wider. And so the 8 rows gave me about 14 centimeters in width, and it was 20 centimeters long. So you want to make 2 of these. So then after that we can move on to the second part of the dress. So for this next part, we're going to be making from the underbust until the end of the dress. Remember to get your measurements and then divide that into 2 and then work chains based on those measurements. Okay, so we'll first start off with a slip knot, and then next you're going to make chains, and you should follow the measurements you have for your underbust so that you know how many chains you require. I ended up working a chain of 64 for my dress. So this is what I have for my foundation chain. Next, we're going to start working our rows. So we'll first start off by making a chain, which is going to be a turning chain, and then into the second chain from the hook, work your half double crochet. Continue working 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way until you get to the end. So this is our row 1, and then into the very last stitch you're going to work 1 half double crochet to finish the row. Next you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the bra cups, where we work 1 half double crochet into the front loop only. So you can yarn over, go into the front loop, pull up a loop, you have 3 loops on your hook, pull through all 3. Go into the loop, pull through all 3. Okay, so you're going to repeat that, working 1 half double crochet into each stitch in the front loop only until you get to the end of row 2. So once you get to the end of row 2, you can chain 1 and turn your work, and then we're going to be working into each stitch again. This is going to be the repeat for all the rows, and then in the next part of the video I'm going to be showing you how to make your increases and decreases so that you make the dress into a fitting size for your body. So personally, I made repeat rows for the length of from my underbust up until my high waist. Then going down from my high waist to the hips, I started making increases so that the dress could be wider. Okay, so to work my increases and decreases, I like to do that at the beginning and the end of the rows so that they're less visible. So to work my increase, I'm going to work 2 double crochets into the same stitch in the first stitch. For the middle stitches, I'm going to continue working 1/2 double crochet into each stitch until I get to the last stitch. Okay, so once I get to the last stitch, again I'm going to work two 1/2 double crochets into the same stitch, and that is how I make my increases. So depending on how wide your hips are, the interval for making the increases will differ for each person. So some people may need to make increases in each row, some people may need to make increases for every other row, some people may need to make increases after every 2 rows or after 3 rows, just depending on how wide you need to get to make it to get to your hips. So please be mindful of that as you work on your dress. So after a couple of rows of increases, this is what I have. And now we're going to learn how to make our decreases. So chain 1, turn your work. To work a decrease again, we're going to work at the beginning. So yarn over, pull up a loop, but don't go through all the 3 loops yet. Yarn over again, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then you'll have 5 loops on your hook. Pull through all 5. So then in the middle stitches, you just work 1/2 double crochet until we get to the last 2 stitches. We're going to make another decrease. Okay, same thing we did at the beginning. Yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 5 loops on your hook, pull through all 5, chain 1 and turn your work to begin the next row. So that's what I repeated for my decreases. Again, depending on how long you're going to make the dress and also how narrow it's going to be going lower will depend on the intervals in which you'll make the decreases as you go lower for each row. So here you can see the dress is already taking shape, and this is what I repeated for the back panel as well. So that's all you need to do, and then we can now join to finish off the dress. So you can join the bra cups together as shown, and then join the bottom of the dress toward the bra cups, also as displayed. For the back panel, I made it similar to how I made the bottom part of the dress of the front panel, and I made repeat rows from the top up until the high waist without making any increases or decreases. I used the measurement for the under bust just so that it would give me a better hold. And then from the high waist to the hips I made my increases similarly, and from the hips to the end I made my decreases in a similar way as shown in the second part of the video. So once I finished both, I joined them together using the mattress stitch. And that is it for the video. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comment section or in my DM on Instagram. Also, please give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it. More videos to come. Goodbye.